Hello again and welcome to The Long Way Forward with Brian. This is episode 14. It's about leadership styles and the idea that not one size fits all. Now, if you've been following along from the earlier episodes, you'll know that we've been building things from the ground up. We started with principles. We explored what you stand for. Remember, we asked you to write them down. And then consider the idea that alignment is what makes all of that decision making simpler and easier and amplifies your results. Perseverance is where learning starts. Reflection and improvement continue that. Then we touched on leadership without titles and decision making under pressure. And most recently, we talked about how great leaders make the people around them better and take them on a journey. Today, I'm going to take you on a short journey. I'm going to explore something important for anyone developing their effectiveness. Maybe you want to be a leader. Maybe you just want to improve. Let's explore something important for you in that regard. They're called leadership styles. And if you're getting value from these conversations, please subscribe now. We've got loads more lying ahead. Loads more. The next episodes continue exploring practical leadership development. The kind that applies whether you lead a team formally or simply influence the people around you. Myths in leadership. The leadership myth. One of the biggest misunderstandings about leadership is the belief that many have that there's only one correct way to lead. Strong, charismatic, commanding. Leadership doesn't actually work that way, I've found. In reality, there are many leadership styles, and they vary a lot. And understanding your own natural style helps you lead far more effectively. And by the way, your leadership style will be directly related to those foundations you have, because that's what you're built on. It's your core. So if you haven't heard those episodes about foundations, please pop back before you go any further and start there, because it's so important. Let's get into the different styles of leadership. Some leaders are naturally strategic. They focus on planning and direction. Others are relational. They're more empathetic. They build strong connections with the people around them. Some leaders are highly structured. They're all about order and systems and process and clarity. And they operate by simplifying complex environments. Others are a bit more adaptable. They respond quickly and guide teams through uncertainty. None of these approaches, by the way, is automatically better than the others. What matters is how well the style fits the situation. Situational leadership. Well, good leaders understand something important. Different situations require different approaches. You can't be rigid. A team facing a crisis might need decisive leadership on the spot. A team developing new skills might benefit from guidance, coaching, support, and constructive feedback that's well delivered. A mature team might simply need support and autonomy. Leadership is not rigid. It changes and it adjusts, as we all should through the journey. This is why self-awareness matters. You might recall in an earlier episode that I talked about self-awareness. If you don't, please pop back. I think it's episode 2. I mentioned self-awareness. Understanding your foundations, being aware of them, also helps you to understand your natural leadership tendencies. It helps you recognize where you're the strongest and where you may need to adapt if you're too inflexible, and how your behavior affects the people around you. Like learning, like any learning, reflection should never stop. Reflection helps anyone grow, and reflection definitely helps leaders grow. Here's a helpful question for you. Ask yourself, how do people experience my leadership? Do they feel supported? Are they clear about expectations? Are they encouraged to grow? Or are they uncertain about direction? The answers to these questions reveal a lot about your leadership style. They're so important, I'm going to run them again. Ask yourself, how do people experience my leadership? That's a great question. I certainly know how I hope people experience my leadership. They might tell me something different. I don't know. Maybe I should ask. Do they feel supported? I hope so. A phrase that I often put out there to my team is that I will go to war for my team. If they do the right thing by my customers and they do the right thing by my business, I will go to war for them. I will protect them. I will help them. I will guide them. So clearly, I think they feel supported. Are they clear about expectations? Yes, because I set them down for everybody. Every different area of the business has, expectations that a good leader will put out there. Salespeople, it might be X number of visits, X number of proposals. But if you're struggling, talk to us and we'll help you. Because remember, do they feel supported? If someone doesn't have the skill or the knowledge to achieve a situation, I'll help them with that because I want them to succeed. If I build 5 people into, awesome operators, well, what does that mean for my job? It makes it a lot easier. So I'm going to help them where I can. They know they're encouraged to grow and they're certain about direction. So do I have all the answers? I've probably got about 4 out of 5 of those. Not too shabby. Remember, those questions again. Ask yourself, how do people experience my leadership? Do they feel supported? Are they clear about expectations? If they're not, they don't know what they're doing. Are they encouraged to grow? And that's the leader's fault, by the way. Are they encouraged to grow? Or are they uncertain about direction? Now think about your own leadership tendencies. Take a moment this week, step out of what you're doing and observe your own leadership tendencies. When you help guide a team or influence a situation, what's your natural action? Do you provide structure? Do you offer encouragement? Do you focus on results? And do you provide those results? Do you give them feedback? Do you solve problems? Do you solve them for the team? Or do you give the team some parameters and encourage them to feel secure so they solve the problem? It all depends, doesn't it? But if you understand your tendencies and then you consider how well that's working or not, that helps you refine your approach. We're reflecting. In the next episode, I'm going to talk about one trait that I've really zoomed in on. It consistently builds trust. It's called calmness, emotional control under pressure. Because remember, leadership does not follow a single template. The most effective leaders understand their style and adapt it to the moment. Growth begins with awareness, remember, and then is followed up by reflection. This is The Long Way Forward, and thank you for joining me in this podcast episode. If you enjoy my podcasts, please subscribe. It'll be great to see more of you on the journey. Thank you for listening or watching. This is The Long Way Forward.